David Highland. How are you, mate?
Good morning, Ivan. Good, thank you. How are you?
Always a pleasure to see you, mate. You're a great guy. Where are you at the moment?
I am sitting in my home office in Broadbeach. So obviously, I split my time between Sydney and the Gold Coast, but I'm up here for the next 24 hours with our team up here and meeting clients and some of those really key relationships that we've got up here.
It's amazing how good this industry's been for people like you and I, huh?
Yeah, it hasn't happened overnight. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. I don't know what year you started, but my entry to real estate was 1997 in Ramwick. So we've definitely both played the long game, haven't we?
And mate, you still, mate. I just love your passion because I spoke to you a few weeks ago. I saw you a couple of years ago. We always have a great conversation about real estate. For those, I mean, like your profile's grown a lot the last few years, especially since you moved into Double Bay. How many
Mm.
offices have you got now, Dave?
We've got eight. So we've obviously got Cronulla's the head office, and that happened by virtue of where we started. But majority of our head office people live within that Southern Shire region. So we've got Cronulla, Tarrant Point, Sutherland. We've got Bowral, which happened in the last 2 years, which is just a phenomenal business, great team, great opportunity. Double Bay, um, Gold Coast, and more recently we opened an office in Tweed to service the Northern Rivers pocket as well.
Well done. And are you, because you were a strong agent for many, many years. Are you still a strong agent or are you group CEO? What's your role these days, mate?
My role, my primary role is Group CEO. I still run an EBU, so I've still got an EBU, and we've that team. I mean, we've been together for more than 15 years. So I stepped out of Resi probably 4 to 5 years ago. Obviously, I've still got a big network, not limited to the Sutherland Shire, but also referring back into Double Bay business. So there's still there's still a fair amount of residential business that I'm bringing in, but I'm not sitting on it. I'm not running open for inspections per se. I wouldn't say that I'm client facing outside of project marketing. So I'm still actively involved in, project appointments, managing developers. We pitched on a big site this week, and I was heavily involved in that. So, I spread myself around. I try and move around the offices at least. Queensland, I've sort of got a mandate that I've got to be up here sort of every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes.
Whereas Double Bay, I'm in Double Bay 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, this week I spent Monday and Tuesday there, and then wherever I'm needed, I might split my time between the inner west and wherever those teams need me. So I can kind of work from anywhere now,
Mm.
because I'm not residential. But my passion is obviously growing our group.
Well done, mate. You've had a big impact, especially the last several years. Um, my
Thank
question
you.
to you is, you've got a couple of key agents like Mitch, Dave in
Yes.
Double Bay, Hanan up at Gold Coast.
Yep.
What do you
Very
think?
good operators.
All good. Like when I think of my
Mm,
old plays and Will Phillips's and Adrian Oddie's, you're good.
yes.
Think of Dave and um, what do you think makes them as agents? What do you think has changed that makes them successful today than say 15 years ago or 10 years ago when you and I were peaking?
Yeah. Look, I think the focus now at a consumer level is speed, and we always talk about speed and quality. So if you talk about the agents, like David Maloof's a great example. I mean, my day usually starts with a phone call with him. We both get up very early, so I'm on the phone with him for half an hour at 5 o'clock most mornings. And and that's just because we're very close mates. But I'm interested in what he's doing. He's nobody would rival his work ethic. Like his work ethic is second to none. There's a guy who's in he's David's 37 years of age. He's operating at the absolute top level. Like I got a sheet of about $50 million worth of negotiations that he's got actively on his table at the moment. His focus is not so much about price points. So he's not getting stuck on the $50 million sales per se. His is just volume, quality. He's a relationship guy.
Yeah.
People love working with him, but he just outworks everybody. Like I mean, David's doing bar appointments on Sundays.
Yeah.
That's kind of what his pace looks like on a weekly basis. And I think that if you look at the other good operators in our business, they're all working the same way. This is a very challenging environment for everybody. Even though there's been a rate cut in the last week,
Yeah.
I'm not a believer that things are going to turn around, immediately. I think we all want to see that the market will improve, but it's a testing environment. There's my observation in our different markets is probably 10% of the agents are doing like 90% of the business. And I know that that's an old adage, but I think that it's probably more true in this current environment. There's a lot of agents in you look at the eastern suburbs market that are just spinning the wheels.
Yeah.
And but that top level, Alex Phillips, who I know you and I have known for a long time, he's I mean, his business is very resilient, but that's because of his process. And people like Dave Maloof, Hannon's a great example on the Gold Coast. They're just outworking everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about the super teams over the last 5 years, I think, have really excelled because
Mm-hmm.
they've weathered the storm. And I think the community really they just trust the market leader.
Safety.
Safety.
Yeah. They want safety and they want performance.
But you make a great point. You think that since you and I were peaking as sales agents in our own businesses, the thing that's really changed in the last decade has been the speed that these guys and their obsession and the hours they're putting in.
Oh, without a doubt. Look, I think that I speak for you. I mean, I have always worked at this pace. You and I are the same age. We're mid-40s. I'm probably working harder now than I was in my mid-30s, to be honest. But I'm working differently, and I'm working on things that are getting me more excited. But the difference between the residential, talking just resi, the residential top agent today versus the residential top agent 15 or 20 years ago is the speed, and the speed relates to more. You've got better technology, so the way that we're using databases is different to what we were doing 15 years ago. Social media is it's a significant part of our business now. Text message, all those things that everybody's using. We didn't have those tools available to us 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, or if we did, they were very, very early.
Yeah, they weren't as impactful. Tell me, you speak to a lot of agents and you employ a lot of agents in your group, right?
Yep.
If an agent says, I'm getting a pretty good split where I am or in the company I work with, but I've considered business ownership, what's your advice to them as someone who's done both successfully?
Yeah, so our business turns 18 in July. So 31st of July is our 18th birthday, which is a super exciting milestone. If I reflect on and Bressic Whitney, you guys started
Not
around a similar
years
time,
before
a
you. We
couple of
started
years
in
before.
2003, so we're 22 years old. Yeah,
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. Well, we were 2007. So if you look at the environment back then, I don't want to say it was easier, but there was more opportunity to start businesses for a number of reasons. You weren't faced with the enormous amount of operating costs. You look at what we're up against in terms of the portals, for example, like right down to the photocopiers. Like the operating expenses to run those real estate offices were significantly less 15 years ago than what they are today. Equally, you could carve a good living out from being a corner store mum and dad real estate office 15 years ago, whereas you get drowned in terms of scale. So I believe that through the last cycle, for a number of reasons, technology environment's been hard. If you're in the rent roll space, the banks are more supportive of you if you've got scale, all of those things. The big agencies have got stronger, right? And in most cases absorb the smaller ones. And that's not to say that there's not a number of smaller real estate offices that are very successful, because there are, and you coach a lot of them. But if I have my time again, there's really only two scenarios. I'm either within an equity structure, like we've got in our group, and we've got an equity plan for for our top performers, and they all collect a dividend on a quarterly basis, and all those sorts of things, and they're all participating in our growth. Or you're just an independent contractor and you're looking for the best split within the best brand that you can and the best platform. And sometimes it's not always about the split. You might be able to get 80% somewhere, but that platform's inferior to another platform that you might get 60 or 70 and be able to write more.
Mm,
What are
yeah.
your thoughts?
Oh, mate, I love hearing from you because I think you've done really well the last few years and you've got a really strong opinion on, or you'd have a very good overview on it. I think business ownership's really tough. People don't really understand what it is. And a lot of agents become good agents and think what's next. They then go into a business ownership thing, which they know nothing about, which I did. And then you're in now. You can't turn around really, unless you actually just close the doors and go back to being an agent. Then you're in and you realize, shit, like I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. It's always fun the first few years, but it becomes a people thing. And it's tough. It's really tough.
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, it's funny you say that because um, the real estate to a certain degree kind of takes care of itself. With I'm talking about our business, and I'm not. I don't say that in the sense that we dominate every market or anything like that, but we've got a great platform. I've got amazing people around us, so we've got what I consider a black belt leadership team. And we're very tight, so it's like a big family in our group. Um, but the difference is those people that are also participating as shareholders, I think, would also tell you that they don't want my role. They do not want to be the person having to make tough decisions on a day-to-day basis. And I think as an agent, you have to identify and you have to be honest with yourself around what your skills, your strengths, and your weaknesses are, because typically high-performing sales agents are not always great people managers, and they're not always great in terms of recruitment. They're not analytical. You have to be analytical at a CEO level, around P&Ls and controlling costs and all of those things, forecasting and all these things. Like I wasn't academic at school, but this was all self-taught, and I had to put the right people around me, but I also had to want to do it. So I had to want to grow, and we were operating at a very high level when I was in full resi. So we had, my best year, we wrote $10 million in GCI. Stepping back from that and compromising on some of that to then invest in my growth at a CEO level came as there was some big compromises there. But it was what I wanted, is what I saw out of my career, for the next 10 years. I remember having a conversation with you through COVID. I bumped into you up here in the Gold Coast, and this is just shortly after you'd sort of exited Bresix, and I don't know if you remember what you said to me, but it was along the lines of sustainability in your career, and if you had your time again, you might have made other decisions. And it was funny that you were saying that, because that was a turning point for me anyway. I was stepping out of one thing into getting more serious about the next. The minute I did that, our business journey changed. I mean, we started scaling, we were merging offices, and that sort of started with Double Bay a few years ago.
I remember that. Yeah. I mean, I worked for John McGrath in the early days, and like about 6 months into working at McGrath Partners, John was an amazing salesperson, right? And he was auctioneer. And he made this announcement. There was only 30, 40 people working at McGrath at the time, one office at the time. And he made a decision that he's going to step back from sales. And everyone was like shocked.
Huge.
And then he said, yeah, like in 6 months, I'm not going to be selling anymore. And he's often said that the business went backwards for 6 months, and then McGrath obviously became what it was. You've kind of done a similar thing. I remember when you were a really gun agent. What do you think made you such a strong agent?
Just that work ethic. The top agents are great at nurturing and working on relationships. I wouldn't say that I'm the best networker. Like there's others in our business that are, like David Leaf's a great networker. I wasn't bad at it, but I had to really work on those relationships. But our values have always been, operate with your moral compass. So I've always been very straight in the way that we do business, whether that's either at a leadership level or dealing with a consumer, a client. And our local market, and at the time I started in Ramwick at a sales level. And then later on in my mid-20s, I moved back to Cronulla. And, within a short period, I was by a long shot the number one agent in the prestige market down there. And I held that for a good 10 years until I stepped out. And at that point, we'd kind of trained the next level, and then they've obviously filled my shoes. But I think looking back on it, we were very innovative in a marketplace, being Cronulla, that wasn't as sophisticated in the way that they promote properties. All of that top technology that we're talking about. We were very much not pioneers at an industry level. We were pioneers in that market.
Yeah.
And we were able to scale a residential EBU very quickly. We had a lot of fun through that period. I look back on that very fondly. Whereas now sitting in living rooms and doing appraisals is probably not the fun space for me that it once was. I'll still do it if I have to with our people, but I'm certainly more juiced up about other things that we're involved in.
I think it's great. The thing about you, mate, is you've evolved, so you went from salesperson Randwick to, salesperson, a high performing salesperson, to a big EBU, to then grow the business. When you opened Double Bay, like I questioned it
you weren't the only one. I mean, everyone's like,
really?
What is this Cronulla guy doing in Double? What business
Mate,
does he have in Double Bay?
Good. I'm glad I was because I thought that's a bold move. Is that, mate,
it was a bold move.
5 years, 6 years ago, mate, great move. And mate, it then set up to your associates. If you've got young associates, which you do across the business, as the leader, what do you think are the core competencies that associates need to focus on to level up?
I actually feel like there's two types of associates in our group, and maybe this relates to some of the people that you coach as well. So there's several associates that just want to be the best associate they can be at a career level without any aspirations to be standalone agents.
Yep.
And coaching them is very different to coaching those that you're training up to then become standalone agents. Yeah. Right. So there's a completely different sort of pathway to that. But I think the principles are the same. We are blessed that we've got a level of associates in our group that have been with us for a very long time. They've worked in these EBUs, and we've got just over 50 sales teams, so just over 50 EBUs in our group, and as an average, they've got between 2 and 4 sort of staff within their EBUs, which is very typical of other businesses. But we're blessed that we've got a level of sales associates that are very tight as a group level. So they're kind of like the lieutenants within our network.
Yes.
And the pattern of behavior with them is that they are the ambassadors for great culture in our business. They, they're the people that we rely on if we're not in their offices ourselves, but also the senior sales agent in the best teams, they can rely on these people as though they're family. They're the best teams are the ones that stick together. If you're an agent that is constantly turning sales associates over, or assistants, or admin, or whatever it may be, you've got to take a look at yourself, because if there's a pattern there, it's your management style, and because it's not the individual. Maybe if it's once, but if it's 3 or 4 times, there's an issue there. So the best teams that I've seen work sustainably over a long period in all different types of markets, and all the best EBUs in the industry, are the ones that stick together.
Really,
and that's a leadership piece. If you can hold on to really great people for a long time and look after them. In fact, my mandate has always been put their needs before my own. Financially, we've always made sure that our guys have got an opportunity to earn. Through COVID, I never turned payments off. It was, we were very resilient through those periods, and we built a lot of loyalty. And I really think that, if you look after people and you want to nourish their own careers and create a mini platform within your own EBU, and you can get them to stick, then not only will it improve your business, but I think your lifestyle is exponentially better because of it, because then you've got the freedom to actually do things outside of work as well.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I take really well said. And I take a few things away. One, I think I loved how you distinguished that there's two types of associates: career associates who are really comfortable,
Yep.
reliable, that's their role and they're
Solid. Yep.
solid. They're not looking to, climb Kilimanjaro. And then you've got the second type of associate where it's a pathway to become a standalone. So I love that. And I also love the fact that if you're an agent and you're putting a team together, which is what David Highland just said, and you can maintain, um, or sustain the same group, same people over a period of time, it's you're not going to have this bumpy journey, which is stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, paying recruiters, finding people, burning,
Ah,
off they go.
yeah.
It's them, it's not me. When it probably is. It probably is you because you've had 3 or 4 leave over the last 2 years. You're just making it harder for yourself. Um, if I said to you, I'm an agent, I've just got a job at Highlands.
Yes.
I said, David, mate, thanks for the job. I'm going to get stuck into it. What are the top 3 things I should do to build my business today?
So you mean you're a standalone agent
I'm a
and
standalone
you've
agent.
become
You've recruited
sure.
me. I've moved. I've
Yep.
just grabbed my computer, my phone. I've come and sat in a Highland office,
Sure.
Double
Yeah.
Bay, Gold Coast, Tweed, or Southern.
Hmm. Hmm.
David, what are the top 3 things I should focus on today to further my
Yeah.
career?
Yeah. So I'm less focused on DL cards and letter drops and all of those things that I think are fairly archaic, in today's industry. I am more focused on your immediate sphere of influence. So getting in front of key people within that respective marketplace very, very quickly. I'm I'm not an advocate for having an email culture, within any department in our group. I'm big on not only getting on the phone but face to face.
Yep.
And that we're big on community support as well. So, and we don't do this so much because we're looking for an immediate ROI on it, but we recommend that our agents are affiliated with some type of community sponsorship. In many cases, we might go 50-50 with them. So I'll give you a great example. In our Burraneer market, which is Cronulla, which is one of the more expensive pockets. There's a soccer club there. My kids play soccer there. Before that, it was John Schwartz's kids. We've had an association with this club for almost 10 years. They've got 1,300 members in our core market. But that one's a no-brainer, and like literally never want to let that one go because it's really important at a community level that we're putting back in. It's also a great opportunity for us to leverage those local networks. Equally, in on the Gold Coast, we've just signed a sponsorship with the Northcliffe Surf Club, and if you know where Northcliffe Surf Club is, it's within a few hundred meters of our office. Again, they've got a huge database. It's a great club. I love going there. We've got to know the president over the last couple of years. Those sorts of things are very important, if you're trying to establish yourself. But I think getting back to just the minutiae of where you start at a sales level. Normally we will create a handful of opportunities for any incoming agent to leverage themselves very quickly. The sooner that we can create momentum for them, not only does it benefit them because we want to see them successful, but it's great for the business. So as the CEO and as directors within those respective offices, it's our responsibility to make the new recruit successful. We are not that office where it's, hey, here's your computer and here's your phone and just keep me in the loop. It's not that at all.
Yeah, that's gold, David. So David's saying everybody, sphere of influence, everyone's got some kind of sphere of influence, a database, your contacts, a pipeline. That's important. David's saying face to face and phone calls is vital. Get off email. I agree 100%. The community, what role are you playing in the community? How are you contributing to the community? What are the groups that you can support and get involved with? And he's saying that his role as CEO, he's there to provide, he's there to help you put a leg over, get a leg over, so you can start to create some momentum, whether it's open houses or old callback books or get on front of, help other agents open homes, go to auctions, but get on front of the market is what he's saying. The rest is up to you.
That's it.
I love that. That's awesome. I had an interview. I had a conversation. I think these are more conversations than interviews. I had one with Constath at Bull yesterday.
Oh, he's a champion. Yep.
Yeah, you both are. And you know
And
what?
what a business.
You two, I think you two, independently, I think are two of the best in the last 10 years have had the most impact of growth in the last 5 to 10 years that I know in certainly New South Wales. And I reckon
Thank
it
you.
comes down to, and I could be like, when you and Con sit down with someone, you guys are like amazing salespeople. You're very engaged, you're positive. And like, if I sat there as a recruit and you sat across from me, I'd find it hard to say no if you were trying to recruit me. But I want to ask you, what is the important, if you're trying to recruit someone, why are you so effective at recruiting? How have you become so effective at recruiting?
Yeah, look, I'm very dialed in on our business and the inner workings of our business. So there's nothing about our group that I can't answer. And I would put that down to the fact that I've almost done every single role in our group at a different time, right down to answering the phones on the front desk 18 years ago. So um, when you and Con is very dialed in, and they've had tremendous success in scaling. It's mind blowing what they've done in that market. But I would say that the similarities, if there are any, is that he's very passionate about what they do differently, and I think that that would come across in those meetings from our perspective. Like I genuinely believe that we are the best culture. We are the industry standard in terms of the way that we do things. Getting back to that conversation around speed, like we're always looking to do things better. So it's very easy for me to, because I'm not faking it. When I'm talking to a new recruit, if I'm really interested in that candidate, it'll come across because I'm excited. I can see them thriving in our group.
Yeah. And it's
You
great.
know,
I'm thinking about this now because we're in our 40s. We probably looked up to guys that were principals who are now in their 60s and probably getting a bit slower at the other end of their career. Looking to slow down, maybe retire.
absolutely.
And
Yep.
I'm looking at you and Con, you guys are like, early to mid 40s. I'm mid 40s too. And I'm thinking like this is the peak age because we've had great experience and great success in the industry, Con in other industries. You build these great businesses and you're the perfect age to drive it. You're both extremely passionate about your own networks and organizations. And you've got the energy to bring it because you're still only early to mid 40s, which in business sense is still very young.
100%. Well, it's a really important point because like I turned 46 this year, and whilst I feel like I'm pedaling harder than
Mm.
I was 10 years ago, I'm far more excited about the business. And the difference between now and 10 years ago, you're making very mature decisions around, because we've been knocked around so many times. So you've been through all these really funky cycles, and I had that moment in March 2020 where we're having a record month, and New South Wales government's shutting our offices down, and you've been through all of these really sort of gnarly events, but the byproduct of that is that your level of resilience when things get hard,
Mm.
um, is a lot different, and you can also identify opportunities quicker and faster. Like we went through a period last year where we acquired a lot of rent roll, so we were in acquisition mode because we felt like it was the right market to be doing it in, and this year's about consolidating that. But last year we were very analytical about rent roll acquisition and just having a lot more visibility around that process that only comes with experience. You're
Yeah.
making more informed decisions because of almost 30 years of experience in the business. But you're spot on. It's an exciting time to be in business for us because you've learned all those lessons. There's still a lot more to come,
Yeah.
but now we can really leverage our experience and the people around us.
Yeah. It's almost like you're not too young where you haven't experienced life and the setbacks and the successes. You're not 10 or 20 years older where you've done it for 30, 40, 50 years where it's like, one last question I've got for you. You work really
Yeah, I
hard.
think can I just finish on that point as well? I
Yeah.
think that this is a broad statement, but you you have and I can't speak for everybody, but I know Con and yourself have a big focus on this, but um, the way you look after yourself now is different. So
Yeah.
your energy levels are different. My currency is sleep, right? Whereas that didn't really have any value to me 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess the sustainability, right, um, is is a reflection, right, on how we feel now. Right? I may not have 20 years ago, there wasn't a culture that you should feel like this in your mid 40s. So I think the dynamics in that respect have changed as well. There's a bigger emphasis on health and fitness than there ever has been. And I feel like the best operators in the industry are going to have longer careers because of that focus.
Because of that. And you know what? My coaching's evolved over 5 years post Brexit winning, where the three
Mm-hmm.
main things that I focus on is excellence,
Mm.
leadership, and lifestyle. They're the three main sort of pillars that I
I love it. Yep.
and we're talking, which
Love
is
it.
my last question to you, which I'll leave you on, or which I'd
Mm.
like to hear your
Mm.
thoughts on this. You've worked really hard. You look great, by the way. You look after yourself.
Thank
You,
you.
no, you
Likewise.
do. You do. Um, if you're David Highland, or you're not David Highland,
Mm.
you're a coach as well as a CEO. I see you as a coach. What are you saying to your guys about work life and
Mm.
balance? Because if we want to climb that mountain, we're going to have to work damn
Mm.
hard. We just spoke
Yeah.
about working really long hours and whatever.
Mm.
And then, what's the importance of breaks and holidays and things like that?
Yeah.
What's your view on this as a coach and someone who's grinded so hard for 25 years?
Mm. Yeah. I'm a big advocate on, and it's funny because I flew from Sydney to the Gold Coast last night to spend. I had dinner with Hannon last night, and then I went to the gym this morning and went for a big walk with him. And we're actually talking about this only a few hours ago. I'm an advocate for, in our industry, working in sprints. So you work in sprints for 3 months, and then the first 3 months, and because Hannah he said to me, what do you think my plan should be this year? And I said, well, I would be taking an extended Easter. I would buckle down. I would really put in the hours between now and Easter, and then I'd give myself 5 days, and then I'd go again in the middle of the year, maybe take a couple of weeks then, and then obviously finish the year the same way. Um, as the CEO, my timing around taking time off has changed a lot. So as a residential agent, it's very difficult to take time off in February. In fact, I think it's detrimental if you do. Whereas I now go back earlier. So I get started. I go back and open the offices, basically get everything fired up.
Yep.
And then, like, literally as of Sunday, I just got back from 2 weeks in the US. And I took my family over there, and we went skiing, and we did those sorts of things. And we've got another trip planned for the middle of the year. So I'm all about rewarding ourselves. I'm all about switching off. I don't think that in our industry you can go away and then turn your phone off altogether. That doesn't happen. I don't think that that's realistic.
Yeah.
If you want to be a great sales agent or a CEO for that matter, I mean, we've got to be accessible. You'll never see me with out of office on my emails or any of that sort of stuff, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But I'm very disciplined. Like, I've already booked the next 12 months of trips. So I already know what between now and Christmas looks like in terms of leave for us.
So a 30-year-old agent in the industry, you're saying, like, if you want to get to the mountain, you got to go hard, but do sprints is what you're saying. Go for two
Go
3
sprints.
sprints,
Yeah.
do it, get
100%.
out, go recharge a battery, go again, recharge.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it, mate.
And I'm also about rewarding
Mm.
your own success. So, like, it depends on what gets you juiced up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a guy that's going to have a great month and then go and buy a gold Rolex. Like, I'm not that guy. Some are, right? But I am also, I'm also excited about doing something great for the family or myself if we've really stretched and we've had a couple of wins.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. You want moments that you can reflect back on and say, oh, we did this because of that.
Yeah.
And what, if you have a tough year and then you back it up with a record year, you should celebrate that.
I agree, mate. No, I'm with you, mate. I take away. So for everyone listening, sprints are great for agents. Like you've said it perfectly. Go hard, 8, 10, 12 weeks and then give yourself a break. Dave Highland, mate, you're a force to be reckoned with, mate. No wonder you've had
Thank
such
you, Ivan.
success, mate.
Thank you for having me.
I know how passionate you are about the business and your network and what you've done. Mate, keep climbing the mountain and, mate, appreciate your friendship.
Thanks for the opportunity. Let's stay in
Always, mate.
touch.
I'll catch
Have
you
a great
soon.
day, Ivan.
And you
Thank you,
too,
man.
mate. See
Okay.
you.
See you.